In a small town in Italy, in the year 1381, a girl named Margherita Lotti was born, who the world would later know as Saint Rita of Cascia. From her childhood, she showed a deep devotion to God and a kindness that moved everyone around her. Her parents, humble farmers, raised her with love and Christian teachings, instilling in her the value of peace and reconciliation in a world full of conflicts. Despite her desire to dedicate herself to God from a young age, her parents arranged her marriage to Paolo Mancini, a man of violent character and aggressive temperament. Although the marriage was difficult, Rita never stopped praying for her husband, enduring his mistreatment with patience and faith. Over the years, her prayers and example softened Paolo's heart, and he eventually repented of his life filled with anger and violence. However, peace in their home did not last long. Paolo was murdered in a revenge killing, leaving Rita a widow with 2 children who, influenced by the thirst for vengeance, wanted to take justice into their own hands. Rita, devastated by the loss of her husband, now faced the greatest fear of her heart, that her children would follow the path of violence. With tears in her eyes, she prayed to God to intervene in their lives. But her plea was not for revenge, but that her children would not become murderers. God heard her prayer in an unexpected way. A terrible illness fell upon her children, and although Rita cared for them tenderly and prayed for their recovery, she understood that their fate was in God's hands. Shortly thereafter, both children passed away, and though the pain of a mother has no comfort, Rita found peace in the certainty that her children had departed without committing a crime. Now widowed and childless, Rita felt in her heart the call to give herself completely to God. Her desire was to enter the convent of the Augustinian nuns in Cascia, but she was rejected several times, as at that time the nuns did not accept widows. However, Rita did not lose hope and continued to pray with faith. One night, a miracle occurred. While sleeping, she was transported in spirit to the convent. When she woke up, she found herself inside its walls, without any door having been opened. The nuns, seeing this as a divine sign, finally accepted her as a sister. Inside the convent, Rita gave herself completely to a life of prayer, penance, and service to others. Her humility and love for Christ were so profound that she soon became an example to her sisters. She spent long hours meditating on the Passion of Christ, desiring to share, even if only in a small part, the suffering of her Lord. One night, while praying fervently before a crucifix, another miracle occurred. A thorn from Christ's crown detached and pierced her forehead, causing a painful wound that never healed. This wound became a visible sign of her union with Jesus' suffering and was both her pain and her joy, as she considered it a divine gift. The smell of the wound became so strong that Rita had to isolate herself in a cell, away from the other nuns. But far from lamenting, she accepted her suffering with patience and love, offering each pain for the salvation of souls and the peace of the world. Over the years, Rita became the intercessor of the desperate. People came to her with impossible problems, and with her prayer and unwavering faith, many miracles began to occur. Her fame for holiness spread beyond the convent walls, but she always remained humble, recognizing that everything was God's work. Time passed, and Rita's health began to weaken. She spent the last years of her life in bed, suffering with admirable patience. Despite her pain, she never stopped praying or encouraging those who came to her seeking comfort. One day, while she was agonizing, another miracle occurred that would mark her legacy forever. One of her cousins went to visit her and asked if she wanted anything before she departed. Rita, with a sweet smile, asked for a rose from the garden of her old home. Her cousin hesitated, as it was winter and the snow covered everything, but decided to fulfill her wish. When she arrived at the garden, She was amazed to see a beautiful rose blooming in the midst of the snow. Moved, she took the flower and brought it to Rita, who received it with gratitude, seeing it as a sign of God's love. This miracle symbolized her intercession in impossible and desperate causes. Finally, on May 22, 1457, Rita surrendered her soul to God. At the moment of her death, the bells of the convent rang on their own, and a heavenly light illuminated her room. Her body, instead of decomposing, remained incorrupt and emitted a sweet fragrance, a testimony to her holiness. Her fame as a saint grew quickly, and people began to visit her, seeking her intercession. Many miracles were attributed to her intercession, leading to her canonization centuries later. On May 24, 1900, Pope Leo XIII officially canonized Saint Rita of Cascia, recognizing her as a saint for the whole Church. Since then, her devotion has spread worldwide, becoming the patron saint of impossible and desperate causes. At her sanctuary in Cascia, thousands of pilgrims arrive every year to seek her intercession and thank her for the miracles received. Her body, still incorrupt, rests in a glass urn, and many claim to smell a rose fragrance when they pray beside her, a reminder of the miraculous flower she received before her death. The story of Saint Rita is a testimony of faith, patience, and trust in God. From her childhood to her death, she faced countless trials. A difficult marriage, the loss of her family, rejection from the convent, and years of physical suffering. However, she never stopped believing in the power of divine love and prayer. Her life demonstrates that, even in the most desperate situations, God has a purpose and always listens to the cry of those who trust in Him. Saint Rita became the hope of those who feel there is no solution to their problems, reminding them that for God, nothing is impossible. Throughout the centuries, countless testimonies have confirmed the powerful intercession of Saint Rita. People in moments of anguish have turned to her with faith, and many have received miraculous answers to their prayers. One of the most well-known cases occurred in the 20th century, when a desperate mother asked for Saint Rita's intercession for her sick child. The doctors had lost all hope, but the woman, with tears in her eyes, placed an image of the saint next to the child's bed and prayed fervently. The next morning, the child was completely healed, and the doctors could not explain what had happened. Another testimony recounts the story of a man who, on the brink of ruin, went to the sanctuary of Saint Rita in Cascia. Not knowing how to resolve his financial problems, he knelt before her tomb and asked for help. Days later, he received an unexpected job offer that allowed him to overcome his troubles. There are thousands of similar stories of people who have experienced God's mercy through Saint Rita's intercession. For this reason, her devotion continues to grow, and many churches and chapels around the world are dedicated to her, serving as a refuge of hope for those facing difficulties that seem impossible to resolve. The devotion to Saint Rita has spread not only through personal miracles, but also because of the profound meaning of her life. Her story teaches that faith and perseverance can transform even the most difficult situations. In many parts of the world, on May 22nd, her feast day, special masses are held in her honor. During these ceremonies, the faithful bring roses to be blessed, remembering the miraculous flower she received before her death. The churches are filled with people who trust in her intercession to find peace in the midst of their struggles. Saint Rita is particularly invoked by those facing marital problems, family conflicts, and serious illnesses. She is also the patron saint of abused women, mothers who suffer for their children, and those seeking reconciliation in their homes. Her example inspires many people not to give up in the face of difficulties, but to offer their suffering to God and trust that, even in the midst of pain, He has a perfect plan. Saint Rita teaches that patience, forgiveness, and faith can bring comfort and hope, even in the darkest moments. Today, Saint Rita remains a beacon of hope for millions of people around the world. Her life, marked by suffering and unwavering faith, shows that there is no impossible cause when one places full trust in God. The sanctuaries dedicated to her continue to receive pilgrims who seek comfort in their moments of desperation. Many people leave letters and candles in her honor as a sign of gratitude for the blessings they have received. It is also common for those who have received a miracle to share their testimony to strengthen the faith of others. Beyond physical or material miracles, the true teaching of Saint Rita lies in her ability to accept God's will with love and humility. Her life reminds us that patience, forgiveness, and complete surrender to God can bring light even in the darkest times. Thus, Saint Rita of Cascia is still known as the saint of the impossible and of desperate causes, but above all, as a woman who, despite her sufferings, found peace and joy in God's infinite love. May her example inspire us to always trust in divine providence and never lose hope, for with God, nothing is impossible.